And when you talk about, for example, like homeless people, how to solve that, people don't have their meds. Like, what is because you're like a left wing guy, what would be because if you look at how do you reconcile the point where if you look at a lot of the cities where you go, they got the most voted left, like a lot of times they have the most homeless people. I guess when you look at the things you're saying, the problem is kind of with healthcare. You're just like, it would probably be good, but you're like, this is so corrupt, they'd probably make a mess of it. So what do you think should happen, basically? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
We have Medicare. Well, the first thing I would do is institute universal healthcare, Medicare for all, like the rest of the Western world. And, we have private healthcare run by private corporations in America, and it's great. We pay twice as much as the rest of the world, and we have worse outcomes. And if you
we're both Canadian. So
and if you get really sick, you go bankrupt. People say, well, I have to wait in Canada. I had to get a knee operation. I have to wait 2 months. I had to wait 6 weeks just to get a consultation for a gallbladder surgery. Just for a consultation, I had to wait 6 weeks for a consultation. I have Blue Cross. And so anybody who's telling you that you don't have to wait in America for healthcare is obviously haven't used healthcare.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing I would do.
Or I guess if you can pay enough.
Yeah, I guess if you want to pay cash.
So that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
So I was afraid I was going to have another gallbladder attack because I had 2 of them. And I thought I literally had made peace. I thought I was dying. If you've ever had one, I was like, okay, this is how it's going to end. And so when they told me, okay, we're going to get you in 6 weeks for a consultation, I was like, hey, I guess we're going to have to take out a loan and go get another surgeon. So
how much does that cost? $100,000 or something?
So what I did, they paid, my insurance paid some, and then the hospital, I didn't pay the bill. So I was like, hey, I don't have any money to pay it. And they're like, can you pay half? And I was like, no. And they're like, okay.
That's that. Yeah. Because I always have this argument with people because everybody always says it's so bad in Canada, and I've never really had to use any sort of healthcare here, but I always found it was okay. I never had anything super serious, but I always found it was fine.
You do have to wait. I remember I broke my nose and I had to get a thing, and it took me like 7 months. I had to walk around with a broken nose to get the thing, but just like whatever.
Well, you could make that better.
Yeah. I think the UK
that's not
probably,
a case for
UK
getting rid of
better. Yeah,
that's not a case for getting rid of universal health care.
Okay, so
that's a case for making it better.
If you added universal health care, what is the things that they would actually do, and how? Because if you have all that corruption, how do you even solve that?
Well, they can't make
the
money
stuff you're
on
saying,
it, right? Like that's the incentives are wrong.
Well, the big problem is that our government is captured by corporate money. So you'd have to get rid of.
Feels like you have to solve that first.
So yeah, you're right. You're not going to get health care because the people, the corporations who own the politicians don't want us to have Medicare for all because there's a lot of money in medicine and health insurance and big pharma, and so that's why we'll never have it. So we have to get that money out of politics first.
How do you do that?
How you do that? We're gonna have to have a revolution.
Yeah, I was gonna say firing squads. I don't know. Like
I'm not kidding.
Like I don't know.
People are gonna have to get in the streets, and they're gonna just like what the truckers did in Canada, and they're gonna have to shut down capitalism, and they're gonna have a real leader that knows what the real problem is, and that fucking real leader isn't me, and a lot of people think it's not me, but it's got to be a real leader who and someone who understands the government and. Like someone like Bobby Kennedy, except he has a lot of flaws, right? So he has horrible policy on Israel, Palestine. He had to be told about Ukraine. He's good on Ukraine now. He had to be told about Russia. He couldn't figure these things out. But we need a real. I thought it was going to be Bernie Sanders. I thought Bernie Sanders and AOC, with their millions and millions and tens of millions of followers, would tell their followers to get in the streets and shut shit down. Hey, we're having a pandemic. People get in the streets, shut shit down until everybody gets Medicare for all. Nothing gets delivered from UPS. Nothing gets delivered to Ralph's or any superstore. No, nothing. We shut it down until we get, and that's what's has to happen.
And essentially, what are you trying to get? If you shut it down until you get what? Like these guys out of power?
Your demands,
no more
your
like
demands
the lobbyists. Like you can't
demands.
be fucking getting money from lobbyists. Like you can't be.
So I think
those kind of deals.
Public financing of elections. That's what we need. So and we shorten the election season to 6 weeks. So instead of it being 2 years,
it goes on for a while.
It's crazy. It's the first debates tonight.
Yeah, you have. That's right. So you have a 6 week window to have your election, to have your campaign, and it's financed publicly. So there's no corruption. That's what I would do. That's why I would shut shit down until we had that system, at least on the federal level, and because that's why we can't have nice things like the rest of the world, and that's why our country is literally ending.